Moin and Guten Tag. Today I'll show you how to not make one, but two or as many breads as you want using my no-knead bread recipe. Master this and then you will be able to make all your neighbors happy with delicious bread every time. I'll not be going into that much detail on how to make the dough. Please check out the original video. I'll just be focusing on the steps that are required to make multiple breads. One more time, the whole flowchart. Yes, we engineers just love flowcharts. We're now on Friday morning. I just used double the ingredients. I'm going to round up the main dough. I extracted the sample and then it's time to wait. The sample is on the right. This part I love about the recipe, being lazy. You just have to wait. That's exactly me. You have to wait until your sample reaches the desired size increase, and this depends on the protein level of your flour. The sample reached the desired size increase. Unfortunately, it's a little bit hard to show because the dough is relatively elastic. Now, the difference between the normal no-knead method and this method is that we can't just flip over the container like this. And that's why we have to apply a coil fold. The coil fold is best applied using wetting hands. Gently unstick the dough from the edges of the container. And yeah, wetted hands really do wonders in this case. Wet your hands again one more time, cold water, and then just take the dough and slowly coil fold it. Coil fold is a special way of stretch and folding. It's very, very gentle on the dough, and that's exactly what we want. Unfortunately, this step is also going to even out your crumb just a little bit in comparison to if you were just to bake one bread. But yeah, there is no way around it. This is something we have to do when we want to bake multiple breads at the same time. If your hands start to stick again, just use more water again. That's totally okay, nothing to worry about. This then starts the shaping stage. First of all, we have to divide the dough into equal parts of equal weight. Then next up we need to round it up. That's called pre-shaping. Afterwards we need to allow the gluten to relax a little bit. That makes shaping easier. Yeah, and then the last step, that's the actual shaping. And now it's time to remove the coil folded dough from the container. With wetted hands, I'm just grabbing into the dough and then I'm lifting it out and I place it on my unfloured surface. And now this large chunk of dough is still not divided. This could be one bread, two breads, n breads. I will show you the process. So after mastering this, you will know how to make enough bread to open up your own bakery, pretty much. You could be weighing this, but in this case, since it's just two loaves, I am going to just eyeball it. But weighing it is definitely also going to work. I like to just do a quick mark here on the dough so that I know where to cut. I'm using a dough scraper and the dough scraper works very well. You could try using a knife, but a dough scraper is a little bit better. So this is a good tool to have when you want to make multiple breads at the same time. With a quick movement, I'm going to go inside and then I'll have two chunks of dough. I'm just making myself a little more space. Move this to the side. And then let's go. So quick movement all the way to the bottom. And note how it sticks a little bit to my dough scraper. That's completely normal. And now we need to pre-shape the dough, because like this we can't we can shape it into a nice uniform loaf. And that's what we need to change by so-called pre-shaping. And for pre-shaping, you want to do it just enough, but also not too much. By pre-shaping, we will be evening out our crumb a little bit. So if you want to have a more consistent crumb, that's something you want to do. If you want to have a wild open crumb, then ideally you want to do this as little as possible. So I'll show you with the dough scraper at a 45-degree angle. I'm pushing into the dough and then I rotate and then I pull over the surface. So 45-degree angle, go inside and then pull over the surface. This can also be done simply with your hands. Just like that. And that's a good looking dough ball. Note how there's a little bit of dough left here on the surface. With a dough scraper,
That works a little bit better. You don't have any bits of dough left on the surface. Same thing one more time with this dough. 45-degree angle, push inside and pull. And this only works because we resisted the urge to use additional flour. Nice. All right, around 15 minutes passed. I have issues with saying 15. Why exactly 15 minutes? To be honest, I was just slicing some potatoes. It could also easily just have been 10 minutes. But what to look out for is this dough nicely flattened out, and that's what we want. So the gluten is a little bit relaxed. In the meantime, I already prepared 2 bannetons, one for Boule and one for Batard with rice flour. So let's proceed and shape them. And for that, go ahead and flour your surface a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. That should be sufficient. Now the hard part is I will take this dough and then I have to flip this dough over. This side is going to be at the bottom then. So with the dough scraper, I go below because I know it's stuck to the table, and I remove the dough from the surface using the dough scraper. I lay out the dough a little bit flat like this. This gives me a nice surface area. This side here at the bottom is not sticky. This side here is very, very sticky. And I use that to my advantage. I fold over the dough in the middle. I brush off some of that flour. I don't need it. And I take this side and glue the dough together this way. I tuck it down here to seal it a little bit. This will give the dough additional strength. Strength. The German. All right. And now I want to roll this dough up. So I go here, pull this out, fold this over. And now I know it starts to stick a little bit, so I put some more flour on my hands. And with my thumbs here, I push into the dough and then roll over the dough. Like that. This gives a lot of tension, exactly what we want. Using my fingers and a little bit of water, I'm now going to seal the edges here of the dough. Same thing on the other side. Using the bench scraper, I just tuck in the dough a little bit more to give it some additional strength. Don't overdo this or you will be evening out the crumb a little bit. I'm just going to brush this dough with a little bit of flour because I don't want it to stick. You could now also be brushing this with sesame seeds or other seeds if you like. And then it goes right into our banneton. Using a swift movement, I probably should have used the dough scraper here. I place it in the banneton, and here I just give this no-knead bread an extra bit of strength by applying a little bit of in-banneton stitching. If you use too much flour, just brush your dough with a little bit of water and this will be easier. Place this to the side, and one more time with the other bread. Some flour here on the surface, and now with the dough scraper remove it again, turn it around, and this one I want to shape into a nice looking boule. I will be using a slightly different shaping technique for the boule, slightly simpler. I will just take this side, fold it into the middle, take this side, fold it over. Note how I folded it over, just like here until here. Put this here, fold this over again, take this side and pull it over there. Then just repeat this until I have a nice looking boule. So for how often do I do this? Probably around 10 times. Then I flip this over, and this is my basic dough. This technique is not as gentle as the other one, so the crumb is going to be even out a little bit, but this always creates an amazing boule. Using my hands, I tuck over the dough, over the surface to give it some extra tension. Same thing again, brush this with some flour, and then using the bench scraper or my bare hands, whatever I dare, place this inside of the Benetton. I will not be doing any in Benetton stitching here. It already looks quite nice. I'll just sprinkle both of them with some additional flour because I now don't want the plastic bag in which I will wrap them to stick. 2 of those, 1 hour proofing at room temperature for those ones, and then I will be baking them directly in the morning tomorrow morning. And this is how I'm baking the bread. 25 minutes lid covered, and then another 15 to 20 minutes without the lid. And yes, as you can see, they barely fit into my oven. So yeah, I need a bigger oven. Or you can be opting for my cheap German hack, where you just use a tray and a bowl of water at the bottom and a stone. That would work. Then I could also fit 2 breads at the same time into this oven.
Yum, 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 yum. One more time, the results, the Boule and the Batard. The Boule, I was surprised the crumb was relatively even out. I guess that was because of my tight pre-shaping. On the Batard, the crumb was a little bit too wild, leading me to think I could have probably fermented a little bit longer. That brings us to the end of this video. If you have baking related questions, or if you have an idea for one of the videos that I should be doing next, please drop a comment on this video. As always, happy baking and may the gluten be with you.